right, we are
With Zadia. Hi,
Hey, hey, hey.
how are you? How are you doing?
I am doing well. Let me just drop this over. There we go. All right.
I'm so excited to have you. I know this is going to be a great conversation. Um, I know that the all cast, finale wrap up is about to appear in a day or two, so I'm sure it'll be a very interesting conversation. But I definitely wanted to have you on just to kind of break down what happened on the season of Ready to Love. It was such a sizzler. So yeah, I'm sure that you are excited to talk as well.
Yeah, no, I am fine. I'm excited to finally talk about this. I haven't really been able to, I guess, share my side of the situation or at least my perspective um, or just my thoughts uh, about this entire journey because that's exactly what it's been. It's been interesting. The 2 months that we filmed, 2 to 3 months that we filmed, and then the time afterwards, it's almost like we're in different quarters of the game. And that was like the first
Mhm.
quarter, then we had the second quarter, then we had a show in the third quarter, and now it's the reunion, and then after the show, which is going to be the fourth quarter. And I'm like, okay, am I ready for this fourth quarter? So I'm,
Yes.
I'm trying to get riled up to finish strong.
Yes, well, thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for having this conversation. Welcome everyone. I see we have a ton of people, so good to see everyone joining us. So, yes, Zadia, tell us. So now that the show is over, how are you feeling about the whole process? Like, is this something that you would do again? What are your thoughts?
So I go back and forth with that often because it wasn't I feel like it wasn't really in my favor in terms of this entire process, but I did meet some really great people, and I am walking away from with some really positive and strong relationships from the show. So sadly, it has happened the way it's happened, but I can say that if I had to do it again, if I was to have a choice and a decision to do it again, I would do it again. I probably would just do a lot of things differently. But I'm very happy for the silver lining, which are the friendships and the relationships that I left with.
Lovely. Are there any friendships that you feel like you've cultivated that are really lasting or that you really appreciate?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I gained two strong sisters in this journey, and Camille and Mumine. I also left with a couple of guy friends, Cornelius, Corey. And I can say that, me and yeah, we're friends as well.
Okay, good. That's so powerful. And I think that speaks so much to like what happens also behind the cameras, because I think a lot of times when people are watching reality shows, they kind of forget that these are real people, these are real connections being made, and the fact that you've been able to cultivate friendships, whether it's girlfriends or it's romantic connections outside of the show, it means that you really showed up and had true impact and people really connect with you. So I think that's so beautiful.
Thank you very much. That's a great way to look at it.
Absolutely. So tell me, this process in general is very different from like dating in the real world, like how we normally date. We're not dating 10 people at a time on camera,
Right.
with everyone kind of knowing who's dating who. Do you feel like the process, just the ready to love process, made things more complicated or like increased the stakes for you?
I do feel like it made things a lot more complicated. One, because it's more in a setting of like competition. And for me, when I came into the process, I wanted it to be just my journey, period. And it wasn't going to be, me versus anyone else, but more so just like me finding a connection, something that would last past the time that we filmed, and that would be worth the journey. And everybody else, to me personally, didn't really matter. It was really just like me connecting with the people I was supposed to connect with, and then me like choosing what I needed for myself and what I needed for my future self. Because a lot of times in my past dating, I will always choose like the fun, you know, like, oh, let's just get this hot girl summer, and so this summer
Yeah.
happening. But I know like now I'm very serious about pursuing something that's long lasting, you know, having a partner in crime. Like I said during the show, I was very real and authentic in that space when I said that, because that's what I want. And that's what I was like, okay, maybe, you know, trying something different, trying, you know, going a different route would end up with me finding that partner in crime. And I don't feel like, you know, the competition made it a healthy space for trying to cultivate
Mhm.
these type of situations. But if you show up as the authentic you, I feel like you will walk away with something,
Yeah.
or you know, at least learning something about yourself, if anything else.
Absolutely. We're all on the process of learning who we are, and that means that we don't show up perfect, right? Sometimes we step outside of the highest version of ourselves, but it's prone to happen, especially when we're talking about something as high stakes as love. You know, you talked about you being authentic on the show, which I think we all were able to see, right? Because if you're being authentic, then you're certainly not being perfect.
Right.
um, you know,
Perfect.
good, bad, and different. That's
Call
the
myself
truth.
perfectly imperfect. Like I don't walk around here trying to be this one person. I'm very much so
Mhm.
human. And I know like as a human, you have emotions. It's just now just learning how to deal with those.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in this process, do you feel like everyone was pretty authentic in the process, or do you feel like there were people who were maybe doing something a little different for the cameras?
So I feel like it was two different races being ran. I feel like there were people that were there specifically to be like on TV, and I feel like there were people there that were really trying to make connections. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Like you can tell at a certain yeah, it was like a period right there. At a certain
Yeah.
point, like, things just change. The like in front of the cameras, behind the cameras, everything, the vibe of the entire process started to take a left turn. And I know for me personally, it did not feel good. At a certain point, like even in the house, at the retreat house, I wanted to self-eliminate. I was ready to go, because it was just like, okay,
Wow.
this is a lot of energy that I'm not really here for. Like I'm not here for people feeling like people should leave because they found a connection. I wasn't here for like it seemed like a lot of jealousy and a lot of envy, and then like people pairing up because you know they wanted to do the full journey. They wanted to last into the end instead of just having this authentic connection. So um, you can really change, you can really feel the change in the environment, the change of the energy in the environment. And after a while it was definitely giving like, okay, this might not be the best space for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you, because this process was so condensed and it was like multiple people, do you ever feel like just the fact that everyone knew what everyone else was kind of doing, do you feel like that made the process harder? Or do you think it actually made it easier because that's what we really be doing out in these streets anyway?
Well, it definitely made it very uncomfortable.
Okay.
And because you can tell that, especially during some of the deliberations, like specific people would come in there to make other people like feel some kind of way about the connection, like to question your connection with that person. And
Uh,
that stories were told, or like things were kind of like, a few elaborations here and there. And then afterwards, where it was supposed to be a safe space for us to have this conversation, things were taken outside of that bubble and shared with amongst other people.
wow.
Personally, I know with the the guys I connected with at the beginning, one of the main conversations for me was transparency, because I knew that this could be a very sticky and icky situation. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
as long as we're transparent and I tell you, like, I'm talking to you and I'm letting you know, especially because for me, majority of the time I had like two very strong I started off with one strong connection and the other connection came out of nowhere. And I was just like, okay, well, whatever I do, I just know that I need to be as honest and as transparent as possible, because what I don't want is anyone's feelings getting hurt. I felt like, you know, the feelings that we had for each other was very real, and I didn't want to like just mess it up because of like things that was going on with other people. So that was my initial conversation. Like, hey, you know, like, let's agree to just be transparent. Let's agree to be honest and communicative during this entire time, because that's the only way, if we are supposed to be together, that we're going to make it out of this. Because if this person comes in and says things that can really taint everything that we have going on, because now I'm going to be like, well, why don't know this? Why don't know that? You know, like, y'all saw, why did I know that? Man, you over here giving people massages, you know, like, what's going on? So it was definitely one of those situations where I kind of saw that, like, I had the foresight to like know that, oh, this could definitely get really crazy. So let's just be honest. And for one person that I was connected with, that held strong the entire time, and for the other person, it didn't. And at a certain point, like, once I saw the breakdown in that communication and the breakdown in that transparency and honesty, I knew that wasn't the person for me.
Yeah. So I know, like, you know, during the show, it was kind of neck and neck, you know, Dante and Naeem. And, you know, when you had that conversation with Dante, was that a part of what we didn't see on camera? Because, you know, we only get to see a small part of like what leads up to these moments. Is there like more that we didn't see that is, you know, contributed to what happened in the conversation?
Yeah, well, it was a lot of things that y'all didn't see. First of all, I went on 16 dates, like 16, 17
Oh
days.
my goodness.
Right. So the fact that y'all never saw me like really one-on-one being like vulnerable and very soft, like one of the things a lot of people are throwing around is like masculine and feminine energy. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
we all possess both. But I possess a lot of feminine energy. Like, I'm a girl's girl. I get my nails done like every 3 weeks. I haven't standing
I think I see your nails, girl.
Nail better bar, holla back. But no, I'm all into hair, all into makeup. Like, I like, when I say I love pretty things and all the things, like, that's me. And when I am in a space that I feel protected, and I feel secure, and I feel like someone's giving me that space to lay it all out and be the feminine person that I am, I'm gonna be that. But as soon as I start to see foolishness and see things that are just not what I want it to be, I'm gonna definitely put my guard up, and it's gonna be a battle for you to like get back into that space. But it was a lot of things that y'all did not see. Like, yeah, the all 16 days, I had after every deliberation, we call them bubble dates, where you have to learn the guy that he's not really shaping up and he needs to like get it together because the girls have been talking about him. I went on like a date, one of those dates, every time I went to a deliberation. And like, I was very connected to all these men. Like, we talked all the time. I used to talk to him every time I was doing my makeup before I went off. Like, went off to a different scene or whatever. But like, what I'm saying is that it was a lot happening on camera and off camera that you guys did not see. And that's why a lot of things, in my opinion, just wasn't really making sense. It wasn't really adding up. And that's what I've been hearing as far as feedback from people that have like come and messaged me like, why did you even turn back? Like, why did you even give Dante that energy? Because we don't even understand like what you saw in him or what happened. But me and Dante had like 2 really strong dates before the retreat house. One of the dates at this place called Medium Rare. And and that's when he told me, like, you know, I wanna pursue this journey with you. But at that time, I just wasn't in that space, right? So I asked for more time. I was like, listen, I need more time here. Like, I'm really into Nye. I'm really into you for 2 completely different reasons, because they're 2 completely different type of men. But I had to understand where I wanted to go and what I saw for my future self, because I always make these like really quick decisions, and like I always go for the fun. But sometimes the fun doesn't, well, not sometimes, but most of the time the fun doesn't last. And what I knew I and wanted was something that was lasting. So
Mm-hmm.
me and Dante always had a good time, and also we were hanging out outside of the cameras, right? So we were having a good time outside the cameras, in front of the cameras. And I feel like when I didn't give him the answer that he wanted immediately, that's when he kind of just made the switch on me. And I wasn't able,
Mm-hmm.
like, he didn't communicate that with me. And my whole thing was like, if you would have communicated that with me, just like I communicated my truth, which was I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
ready to make a decision. If you would have communicated with me, like, hey, so whatever happens, like now I'm just gonna start moving into a different direction, it would have been fine. We would have been able to we would have probably been able to be friends, because it's like, okay, you have to do what's best for you as I'm gonna do what's best for me.
Yeah.
So the
So
answer, yes. It was a lot of things that y'all didn't see.
I see. It's a lot of things that we didn't see. I think, you know, I didn't really realize it from just watching the show that there were a lot of things that we didn't see until the whole thing with Shiloh and the bar scene and the carrying. Like, none of that was on camera. So that let me know, like, oh, a lot of stuff is going down behind the scenes that maybe we're not privy to. So thank you for just kind of like sharing a little more context.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like phone calls. I'm honestly and truly to for me, like for instance, the date that you saw with me and Naim at the bar. By that time, we had probably talked on the phone like almost every night up until that point, because we made an instant connection at the mansion, and we exchanged numbers at the mansion, and that's when we were talking. And it wasn't like I felt like us talking more during those periods outside of the camera actually made for a better scene. Like we probably went over more like some of the stuff that we've already talked about, but it was
Hmm.
like we were starting to get some more substantive conversations, right? So it wasn't just
Hmm.
like, oh, what's your favorite color? Da, 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 da. It's like, okay, so we've already moved past like that surface stuff. Now we're getting to a place where we can talk. I can tell you like a little bit like some deeper things about me. Like, yeah, I like to spoil myself, and I'm really serious about my love languages and my family and things like that.
Yeah.
But sadly, that wasn't really shown either. So it was like I was disappointed, because what I've seen in the past is, as far as the connections, like you would see people have these conversations that were of substance, and
Hmm.
I didn't feel like everyone got a fair shake at having that type of conversation or being shown having that conversation, and that kind of saddened me about this process.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much that you can stuff into the 41 minutes. And unfortunately, that means a lot of things are left on the chopping block that really add to us understanding what we're watching as viewers. So tell me, is there anything that you regret if you could go back? Is there anything that you would change?
Well, I got a few things. No, I think for me, the one. So in some scenes, right, it looks like I have this attitude, and I'm like being. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was being mean, because I was just speaking to this. I was just speaking to the situation, and I guess because I was being so direct to the situation, that it goes off as meanness. To me, it's just like sometimes you have to be direct. Like, this is not what's going to happen here. But definitely off the top is the Dante situation. For me, one of the things that I've constantly worked on, because first of all, that was the first time me ever putting my finger, my digit on a dude. But
Oh,
um,
okay.
uh, you shouldn't be touching anybody. First of all, it's a way to communicate your feelings without putting any hands on anyone. But then also,
Absolutely.
like in that moment, I could have easily just been like, okay, it just left it there, right? I gave
Hmm.
like all of my power, all of my energy in that space, which wasn't even needed, because by that time at the retreat, me and Naim had already chosen each other, right? And I wanted to give Dante that information outside of the cameras before we put it on camera, because I wanted to give him that courtesy. but that courtesy wasn't extended to me. And I think, and that honestly, that's what really took me to the highest of the highest. Because it's like this entire time I've been trying to like really be open with you and be honest with you. And I felt like that's what we were doing here. And now you have like completely shifted the gears and now making it TV. And for me, like this is still real life. Like I had some genuine feelings towards you, and clearly you're telling the screen that you're tying up loose ends. I'm like, oh wow, I'm loose ends. Okay. And you know, how does that make a person feel? So for me, it was definitely like if I run that scene back in my head over and over again, I'm like, as soon as he was like, I'm feeling Aisha, I'm like, I could have easily been like, okay, well, me and Naeem have already chosen each other. Ha ha, joke's on you. And it just like left, you know, like,
Yeah.
hey, because that's where we're here. That's what we're ending up doing. But my feelings were hurt, and I was very much so upset that he would even just carry me like that, like just toss me off to the side as if there was nothing there. And I was like, the least you could have did was like just cared about my feelings enough to have answered the phone for the 3 days that you hadn't answered my phone calls, answer a text. Like all this time you've been texting, you've been calling, you've been doing all these things. And now all of a sudden, no phone calls, no text. You can't answer your phone because you're busy, you know? And I just feel like a lot of people don't understand, like, just that, like, if you care for a person, just be honest and be honest quickly, you know, like I like have a person just like sitting there being ignored as if like we never had anything this entire time. So yes, I would change that moment. I would definitely as I exited, not even said anything about Aisha. That I don't know. I had to even ask like one of the producers. I was like, "Did I say that? Because that was bad. That was terrible. That was bad.
Yeah.
It was very uncalled for." And those are the two things that I have apologized for. So I've spoken to them privately and apologized for. And at the reunion, hopefully it's shown, but I've also apologized there. So it could be a public apology, because if you're going to do something publicly, you're going to have to apologize publicly. So, and I'll just leave this here. Like, honestly, bottom of my heart, sincerely, I apologize for those moments, because that wasn't the best light, nor was it the right way to handle the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you've taken kind of ownership and acknowledged, like, this was not the way to handle things. Certainly that's all we really can do when we make a mistake. We can only own up for it. We can only apologize, have pure intentions in that apology, and hopefully people accept it and it leaves healing, because we all make mistakes. But ultimately you have to kind of move forward, right? And it sounds like you have moved forward in terms of just continuing some relationships from the show. So that's really awesome to hear. And I hope that they do air those apologies that you gave. Yeah, because sometimes people like, they need to see it. They don't believe it if you say they got to see it, because we saw what happened. So a lot of times people want to see that apology as well. So I certainly hope that they air that for you. I definitely want to get into some of the questions that the viewers sent you on IG. All right. Let's see. Somebody asked, what attracted you to Naeem over the other men?
Oh, well, the first day, well, okay, so I was like by the drinking area, because they had like this little bar set up, and I was like drinking my champagne or whatever. And by that time, I felt like I had talked to, because I was counting the guys that I talked to, because I was very nervous. I was so nervous. I was like, okay, I got 10 minutes to talk to. I don't want to go home on the first day. I want to like try to at least see and just be open and, like all the good stuff. So
Yeah.
I hadn't met Naeem by that time, as I was taking a drink to just hydrate. And he walks over. He's like, "Oh, where'd you come from?" He like had this super high energy. I'm over here like, "What's going on with you? Like, why are you so excited?" And he's like, "No, I have to talk to you. Like, we need to go talk." So he like grabbed my hand and he walked me across the grass, and we sat down and we like talked like almost the entire night. It was like still
wow.
Like, the darkness, and we were talking the entire time until like the people started pulling me away to do other things for the show. So he got me excited because we had a lot of things in common, like just how we were raised. He is very family oriented. I'm very family oriented. We were just like, our conversation just did not stop. It flowed very easily. He has these very nice, pretty eyes. I don't know if y'all seen them, but
We saw.
those things are mesmerizing. Okay, I was like this.
Okay. We saw, but thank you for verifying again.
And he also he just had a different look. And I was like, okay, because I don't really do like bald heads. That was one of the things that I really had to like put in the back of my mind. Because I was like, oh, I don't really do bald heads and beards. I mean, they're okay with me, but I like a clean shaven man. Like, I don't need to do all that.
Well, you did have a lot of choice with the cast.
That's the first thing I kept saying. I was like, this is the bald and the bearded girl. This is the bald and the bearded. Every guy is like bald and has a beard. So, when after we had that long conversation, I kind of knew like that was going to be a place that I parked for like the entire season. Like I can only see like something crazy happening where we wouldn't even like talk anymore, because the way that everything sparked between us, and then we exchanged numbers and we would talk all the time. One of the things that he kept saying was he's an introvert, and I was like, I don't know if he's telling me this because he liked to be at the house all the time, or that I'm like one of those lively people. And now he's like, just letting you know I don't move like that. So we worked through that, and after that it was just like, okay. So yeah, he's a very handsome guy, and he's very soft and gentle, and but still strong. And he as y'all can see, he's very much so a protector. He's very much so like a person that makes you feel safe, because he was defending me even when I wasn't even in the room, and I didn't
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, he was doing this off the strength of like he knew me as a person, and he understood me, and he wasn't gonna let these people talk about me like I was just, some crazy person. When everybody had known like there were a lot of things going on throughout the entire season. So all that stuff just pulled me in.
It pulled you in. I mean, it definitely was giving grown man who knows what he wants. When, people were like, well, what do you think about what happened with this? And he was like, I'm a grown man and I'm dealing with her on the level that I'm dealing with her on, and kind of spoke up for you. And I feel like, it's really easy to get influenced by everyone else's opinions. And not that we completely ignore insights, right? But certainly at the end of the day, like you said, you can only focus on the connection that you have individually with the person that you're trying to make this situation with. And so it was a moment for sure when he was giving you grown man energy and defending you when you were not there. How did you feel?
He knows how to have fun like that. When we were making those drinks, that bar scene, I wish they would have more of it, but we had a blast. Like, he was cracking jokes. He was matching my joke energy. Like, we both like go back and forth. His humor's a little darker than mine, but but we get each other. So yeah.
I love it. How did you feel when he, after you exited the show, when he was like, look, I knew who I had this connection with. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I think that this is the end of my journey. What did you think when you found that out?
Well, like I said before, at the retreat, during that that elimination bubble date that we actually had already chosen each other. So he was supposed to go home then, and I actually told them, if he goes home, I'm going home. And that's why we were able to stay on the show together. So
wow.
So it was basically like just a flip-flop of what really happened. Now I went home, and he's just like, yeah, I'm following her. I'm out the door. We already knew that like our journey, this was our journey, and this was what we were gonna finish with, was each other. So when I saw that, I wasn't really surprised. I actually helped him pick out the outfit that he wore there. So
okay, we get some team energy.
But I wasn't surprised, huh?
I said, okay, we getting some team energy from behind the scenes. Y'all was united.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead, wear that purple. That's royalty right there.
I love it. I love that tidbit and that you all had already had that conversation. And so it wasn't like, I think the way we saw it was, honestly, it was obvious that, he was most connected to you. And so it made sense that maybe he didn't want to like waste his time. He seemed like a pretty grounded guy, at least as a viewer, that's what I felt. But it's really cool to know that it actually was kind of a mutual decision that you all had made from
Yeah,
like a partnership. We're really invested in each other type
yeah,
way. That's really really
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right, let's see. Someone asked, someone asked, how do you know when a man is or isn't ready to love? What are some key points?
How do you know a man isn't ready to love?
How do you know when a man is or isn't ready to love? What are some key points? I guess what are some key lessons that you learned about knowing when a man is ready not, versus not ready to love?
Well, one of the things that I always use this term, like you have to be as transparent, vulnerable, relational, and personable you are with God is what you're going to be with other people. And if you're not
Oh,
things, then you're not going to be ready to be in any type of serious relationship. Um, to that's going to be fruitful and actually lasting. So I'm very big on transparency. I'm very big on vulnerability. Like those are in communication. Like if you can't tell me the worst of the worst, right? And that's one of the things that I really do like about Nye. Like we're very honest with each other, like to a fault. That just hurt a little too much. Let me go into
okay.
but no, it's like you have to be that honest, you have to be that transparent, like you have to be able to open up and give yourself to this person so we can really know each other and really know what we're dealing with. Like I can't sit here and say that I know you and I can defend you to the depths of the earth if I don't know who you are and you are capable of doing any type of things and I don't know the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, those are key things. Like you have to be those things in order to really be ready to love. And sadly, everybody on the show was not like that. And I actually I made a post the other day where I was like, yeah, I unlocked a new key of discernment because it was like you can kind of peep it from the beginning. Like you kind of feel like, oh, this person's a little shifty and they're not really secure in themselves. And that's the biggest of all the deals. So
Look, you know what? When you say that, that makes so much sense because I know when I was watching the show, I was like looking and I'm like, oh, she does not have any energy for Corey. And he definitely was a person who had a lot of double-mindedness or a lot of like uncertainty slash games, hiding things from people. And it just makes sense given how important that transparency is
a lot of
to you.
yeah, gaslighting. Yeah, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do any of those things. Like
And so it was like you never even really made space for that connection because I think maybe you peeped game like super far
yeah.
away, like
From the first
he
day,
not
I was
about the transparency.
full of confusion, and what I do not do is confusion. Okay, we don't do that.
I definitely understand. So there were some people that were saying that maybe Walter was not able to connect with Newman and that you were one of the reasons for that. What do you have to say about that? Do you feel like friendships can interfere with romantic relationships?
I feel like if you're supposed to be with a person, no one's gonna be the separator of that. Like no one would be able to stand in that way. Now, me and Mumin definitely grew in friendship during this entire time, but it was never once
Mhm.
that I ever even expressed to her how I really felt about Walter. So that's that. I'm just gonna leave.
Ah,
So for me, I felt like Walter was a player the entire time. I did not say that to her. I did not
mhm.
mention those things. I didn't even mention it to anybody really until like the end. I was like, yeah, Walter's ready to play. He's not ready to love. And for me to be like accused as a person that was like coming in between them, that wasn't the case. If first, let's just talk about how filming goes. We're rarely filming all together. it was like you had to bring us together for us to be filming together.
Gotcha.
So your connection, like nobody could have come between me and Naim, or me and Dante, or whoever I was connected with, because we were connecting on our own. Like our dates would be our dates, and our phone calls would be our phone calls. So no one could ever speak to what we were doing, nor could they ever interfere with what we were doing. You know, so really, if you're really for a person and you really want to connect with this person and really want to pursue something with this person, you'll do everything in your power to do that. And I don't feel like Walter really came into this space ready to do that with anyone. So unfortunately, I'm now being put into this I don't know. I don't even know. It's too many people, like 4 people or whatever. Yeah. So like put into this whole situation where it's like, oh, the girls are the people, the reason why I wasn't able to connect. But it's like, no, I was rarely around you guys, you know, to even do that. I feel like guys will default to blaming friends for the reason that they're not connected to someone, when it really is just them not wanting to connect. And that's where I'll just leave that. I have a lot of friends that are married, that are single, and I've never been blamed for breaking up a situation in the middle, because I know for sure, especially as an adult and as a grown woman, like I have, but it doesn't matter what I think. It's not my man. So love who you want to love. If you like it, I love it. Like, we're going to cheer all the way to the end, and I'll just support you however I can in that matter.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, because sometimes friends can definitely tell you that they don't like a person. I've seen so many people date people that every friend, every parent, every therapist, everybody is saying do not date them. And they are marching off into the sunset, sometimes to their own detriment, and it really will not change anything. You know, so it really is interesting that people say like, oh, they weren't able to make a connection because of the insights that you were giving. But the truth is, adults make decisions based off of what they want to make decisions, and it doesn't matter if your friends give their insight. It's kind of like you take it into account, but it usually is not enough to deter or force a situation.
I've seen it happen several times. I've had many friends get married to a person, and next thing you know, it ends, and they're like, well, what did you feel? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me before? I was like, I didn't know to tell you. Like you were in love. I really feel like when you're in love, nobody really can tell you anything. I know that's the case for me. Sadly, it's like once I'm loving somebody, it's like you can tell me, oh, you had to show me pictures. Like,
yeah.
I saw it. I'm like, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you as a therapist, you cannot just tell someone what it is. They kind of have to figure it out for themselves, right? We can like help people kind of see what's there, but ultimately they have to see it with their own eyes and come to that conclusion. And that is what makes or breaks the situation. It is never just another person giving their own insights as to what makes the deciding factor for whether or not somebody will be with another person. So I love that you understand that implicitly, and even just the juicy fact that like you never even gave her feedback about the Walter situation.
Feedback. I actually saw an interview where Walter said I was in a scene that I wasn't even in. I was like, wow, I must have had my ghost must have came in and shook everything up. But no, I didn't feel the need to do that, because first of all, this was her process. Everybody was going through the process. Everybody had their own journey. I was on my track. Everybody was on their track. And I felt like no one could really tell me anything about what I was doing. And I didn't feel the need to do that with anyone else. My support was just there as a sister and there as a friend. And if you want to talk to me, I'll listen. If not, then yeah.
Love it. So tell me, is there anything that you want to leave us with that may leave us a little bit excited to see this reunion episode that's coming out?
Well, I mean, you guys will hear what me and Naim are doing or done, or how we're moving forward. So that's this reunion was very interesting. It was a very long day, and I'm interested personally to see what they put in and take out. But yeah, It was a lot of crying. Not for me. I don't really cry.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it was just, I feel like we started seeing people's people's real intentions, and
Okay.
that's what kind of like brought in more drama, because it started, like, things started unfolding, and what was said and done throughout the entire season, the like blew up in people's faces, and people were no longer able to, I guess, be that representative. So yeah, the reunion, I mean, it's been they've been saying that it's going to be real drama Friday, so just I wouldn't expect anything less other than real drama Friday. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, Real Drama Friday, because I'm hearing all the key terms, representatives, things are unfolding, the truth coming to light. These are all the things that
I
people.
thought half the time, like, wow, this is crazy. I know I was definitely pulled into a lot of stuff that I wasn't ready for. I feel like I responded very well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was definitely a very interesting day. Everybody looked beautiful. At least we're
That
beautiful.
was never a problem on the show, though. That was never a problem on the show. So I'm sure everybody showed up looking fabulous. But I'm very curious to just hear, more of the details that we don't get to see necessarily when we're watching the show. And, all this drama and tears. I'm wondering where all of this is coming from.
Yeah.
Um,
Your boy Corey started
so,
crying, and I was like, "Woo, Corey crying! What's going on?" It was
oh,
crazy.
this I must see. This I must see, and I certainly hope that everyone else tunes in. What are you up to now that the show is over, and how can we follow you and, see what you're up to?
Well, I'm back. I'm back on my grind. I have been the owner of a personal training company for 7 years now at Get Me Fit Z. So we're back at it, still doing our fitness classes, our virtual, well, I'm relaunching our virtual fitness classes next week. But
Hmm.
our in-person glute class that we do every Saturday here in the DMV area. So that is always promoted. I also have an activewear line that I recently launched. Beginning of
Congratulations.
you. I'm so excited. Two of the pieces I wore on the show, people were getting on me about that, talking about all I wear is workout clothes, but I wear real clothes too. And yeah, I'm also still doing. I on the side I do makeup and here for weddings and birthday parties and all the special occasions. So I'm still doing that as well. So you can follow me at Zadia Murphy. Is my personal page. Then my fitness page is at Get Me Fit Z, and my makeup page is at Zaza on the Beat.
Awesome. Well, Zadia, thank you so much for just coming here, being so authentic, being so open, sharing all of these wonderful insights that we weren't aware of. We're really looking forward to seeing you on the reunion episode, as well as following you and supporting you. And for
Yeah.
everyone who showed up tonight, if you'd like more information about me, my name is Bree Jenkins. I'm a dating coach, a marriage and family therapist, and transformational life coach. And this was a wonderful moment brought to you by Newsmakers. And
Yes.
Zadia, yeah, thank you for being here. This was awesome.
For having me. This was a great conversation. I really did. I do appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Good night, everyone. Stay fabulous, stay beautiful, and see you soon.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.